Hi, I'm Cara Mae. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm going to talk to you about my adventures in obsessive food tracking, which started with my interest in the global food system, which I have detailed here in accurate detail. Auto-forwarding. I've developed a fascination with the global food system over a few years. I was particularly interested in my impact on the system and the environment. I read a ton of books, like The Omnivore's Dilemma, like many people have. I wanted to be a responsible global citizen, but I found that to be a little bit of a challenge because, as we all know, sustainable food by and large takes a few more resources, time and money. I was constantly making these decisions, conventional food or sustainable food. How do I allocate funds? Where is my investment really going to? It was a bit overwhelming. I had lots of questions, not enough answers, so I decided to focus on this one question: how much am I really spending on sustainable versus conventional food? I started tracking every grocery item that I bought. So I tracked every grocery item, the name, the cost, etc. I bought sustainable wherever possible. So basically, I overrode. I stopped making decisions. I just said, all right, wherever possible, I will buy sustainable. And then I also found the conventional equivalent to all the sustainable items that I was buying and tracked those same details so that I would be able to compare the two groups. For 4 weeks, I also tracked the weight of every component of every meal. So here's one example. I made this lentil soup. You can see I wrote down every ingredient that went into it and how much weight. I weighed every ingredient with like a kitchen scale. And then I pulled from the rest of the spreadsheet where I had all the grocery items and calculated that for this particular soup, I spent about $3.50 more on the mostly organic version than I would have if I had used only conventional ingredients. And so this is the soup in dinner I had later, which basically I used the same process. And this level of detail was extremely satisfying to me. More importantly, I found on aggregate, I spend about $800 more annually on sustainable food than conventional food. Sustainable I defined as local, organic, MSC certified, fair trade certified, I think, yes. So this worked really well, and I continued with that same decision. I decided it's important enough to me to spend the $800. I never again, when the decision was presented to me, conventional organic, thought about it, I always went with the organic or local. So decision management achieved. I still didn't really know what I was getting in return for that investment with any level of specificity. So basically, I went to graduate school to figure that out. It's true. I got a degree in environmental economics, which is another story. So I was really pleased with this project. It set me on this professional trajectory. I'm grateful to it for that. But I know that it was more than that. It was more than my interest in the global food system. This was a personal journey. I mean, look at all this work I did. This is just one tab of a very large spreadsheet. Obviously, enormous amount of time that I spent. What was I really trying to achieve on a different level? And when I was trying to answer that question myself, putting this presentation together, looking back on this project, I just picked up a random book at the library someone left on a table. This is a Nabokov book, Real Life of Sebastian Knight. Very first page, the collecting of daily details is always a poor method of self-preservation, which really made me laugh. And I thought about this and I decided he is absolutely right. If all you're doing is gathering information, you're not extracting any insight from it. But if you are extracting insight, if you change your behavior because of the information that you've gathered, it's not just sort of keeping you warm at night, you like to look at it, then what you're doing is you're raising your level of consciousness about how you're interacting with the world around you, the systems around you, the systems within yourself. And that's valuable, it's beautiful, it's certainly worthwhile. So I'm interested in doing more of that. I'm interested in doing less of actually the outward-facing stuff like me and the global food system, more the global food system's impact on me, nutrition and health. How does my food and water intake impact the system with my own body? Things like the whole carb thing. I mean, I've like read all this stuff. I continue to be confused. I don't talk to anybody who, like, if pressed, like absolutely knows, like feels like they absolutely have the answer about carbs. Smoothie add-ins. Should I spring for like the protein powder and the bee pollen? I don't know. Should I push myself to drink more water every day? It's supposed to be amazing for lots of different reasons. So again, like lots of decisions, difficult to manage. Again, I decided to focus on just one decision. How does water impact my energy? This is where I'm making a plug for my startup that many of you have already heard me chat about this evening. This is my randomized experiment on Whatify.com. Every day I'm randomized to either drink a normal amount of water, how much I would drink if I wasn't really paying attention, or the maximum that I can drink comfortably if I'm really like trying to drink more. And then every morning I'm prompted to record a data point, the number of hours that I sleep. So anybody can enroll in this experiment if they're also interested in the same question. So it's a crowdsourced participation experiment if people sign up, but everybody who participates also gets individual results. And this is how I'm extending that, that food tracking project that I did a few years ago to a more inward-facing effort. Just to repeat, the point here is to eliminate guesswork, manage decisions, elevate a level of consciousness about oneself. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Whatify, food tracking, randomized experiments, anything at all. Please reach out.
On that $800 a year of additional costs, what level of
Accuracy?
Well, what level of buying was that? Was this like you buying sustainable for every single grocery purchase that year, or was this just like a little bit of purchasing?
It's basically like wherever I could. So I eat out like certainly not a majority, but a non-negligible amount, and basically any kind of eating out, I counted it as conventional. So this is me buying sustainable food the vast majority of the time wherever possible, but I don't go nuts about it. So I would say the average, like, conscious liberal. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so for your water experiment,
Yep.
How are you accounting for the change in what people would already be drinking? So let's say somebody drank coffee all day long, and instead they start drinking water. The water might just be a net positive just by the fact that it's not coffee, or might be a net negative.
Well, so the impact of the water, like if there's something else going on there, like ultimately, I mean, my thought would be that it doesn't matter. Like if you make yourself drink more water and then you sleep less, then that's the result. If it's because that you were drinking less coffee as a result or something, then it's not a confounder. It's just kind of a part of the system that you're investigating.
Yeah, I'm just thinking drinking water versus not drinking anything, as opposed to drinking water instead of what you would already.
Sure. So I mean, people who do any kind of experiment like that will probably notice things along the way, other behaviors that are changing, and that's interesting. And we hope that people who would working on an experiment together would, comment and communicate with each other to find out those things that were not anticipated.
So I wonder about the difference between the
So there were so many questions that came up like that during that experiment that I just kind of created policy along the way. So if I shopped at Whole Foods and I picked the organic flour, then I would look for the conventional flour at Whole Foods, and if it wasn't there, then I would go on Giant's website and find that. But it certainly occurred to me along the way that depending on like what part of the country and what city and if there are sales that week and that sort of thing. So certainly the $800 is like pretty ballpark, but it's still an order of magnitude, which I find helpful.
Did you find any unexpected benefits from doing that? Like did you find you're kind of like inspired eating better, or even like say eating less junk food, or like at McDonald's less or something like that?
No, for me personally, not. Earlier versions of this presentation, I talked a little bit more about how satisfying it was to put my arms around my food consumption and see it like in color-coded spreadsheet form. And I created all these graphs and so forth. I had a blog about it at the time, and I really wanted to get in the numbers with how much what and how much I was eating, and just seeing it visually in front of me, I loved it. Now, it was a little stunning to me that I got so into it. I would say that was something I didn't expect.
$800, how much of a percentage increase was it for
Don't know. That's a good question. Can't say that off the bat. Sorry.